15 celebs who had terrible near-death experiences. Kim Kardashian West has been in the news a lot recently, but what else is new? This time, though, it isn't for a nude selfie or drama with other celebrities, it's for something much more serious. In case you haven't watched TV, been online, read a magazine, or talked to anyone in the past 2 weeks, we'll fill you in on what happened. Early on October 3rd, Kim K was the victim of an armed robbery in her hotel room during her Paris visit. According to the latest reports, she was held at gunpoint, tied up, gagged, duct taped, and locked in the bathroom. The thieves got away with millions of dollars worth of Kim's jewelry, but fortunately, Kim wasn't seriously injured. It's a very scary situation and could have ended a lot worse. Yet people are taunting her and even claiming that the whole thing was an Alarian fabrication, which of course resulted in a lawsuit from Miss Kardashian West. We'll just have to wait for more details about the story. But until then, let's remember that Kim Kardashian isn't the first celebrity to have real scary near-death experience. Take a look at these 15 other celebrities who have had brushes in death. You will be surprised to find that one of them was lost at sea and another fell from a third floor. 1. Lama Odom. We introduced this article with a Kardashian and will end it with a Kardashians act because the Kardashians are just everywhere. There's really no escaping that family these days. You probably recall hearing about Lama Odom on every radio station and practically every other tweet daily. For about a month or two, when he suffered a near-death experience. In October 2015, former NBA champion Odom was found unconscious in a brothel in Nevada. He had taken a lethal mixture of drugs, including cocaine and alcohol. He was in a coma a few days, but doctors were convinced that he only had hours to live. Fortunately, Lama didn't die because he had suffered brain damage due to a lack of oxygen from when he fell unconscious and choked on his muscles. He went to rehab and had to relearn how to do basic things like talk and walk. 1 year later, he's up and at it again. 2. Leo DiCaprio. Who doesn't like Leo? We all cheered when he finally won his first Oscar for The Revenant. While he faced and escaped death in that movie, Leo also did the same in real life, multiple times too. In an interview with Wired magazine, Leo recalled how a great white jumped into his cage while he was diving in South Africa, saying half its body was in the cage and it was snapping at me. The red white took about 5 or 6 snaps an arm's length away from my head. Wow, so how did Leo manage to escape? He says he went to the bottom of the cage and lay flat. He also had a skydiving accident where he thought he was going to die because his first parachute was tangled and he didn't think about the second one. Someone that he was with pulled the second chute, and although it was tangled too, he managed to untangle. And that's not all. Leo was also in an airplane which had to do an emergency landing because the engine exploded. Seems like Leo really does have 9 lives, as his white cover title suggested. 3. Anne Hathaway. Back in 2014, Oscar winner Anne Hathaway was vacationing. In Hawaii when things took a nearly deadly turn. As she was swimming in the ocean off the coast of Oahu, Hawaii, she was caught in a rip current and began screaming for help. The singer can be seen above being neck deep in the water. Luckily, a surfer came to her rescue. She came out of the water with a minor foot scrape, which her husband, who was waiting on the beach, treated with a first aid kit. The actress was then seen smiling and laughing with her husband after the scary incident. 4. Cheryl Cole and her group Girls Aloud were one of the biggest girl groups to hit the UK. The singer eventually went on to become a successful solo act, style icon, and the X Factor judge. Today she's in the news because it's rumored that she's pregnant with One Direction Liam Payne's baby. But back in 2010, Cheryl faced death. She and her close friend Derek Howe went on a holiday to Tanzania and the singer got malaria. At first, she didn't even know that she had contracted malaria. She was feeling sick when her friend urged her to do a blood test, and it saved her life. A singer was minutes away from needing lifelong dialysis. At one point, things were so bad that she couldn't talk was delirious, drifted in and out of consciousness, and had fluid in her lungs. Cheryl said that she was ready to die at that time. Her exact words were, "I was relieved to be dying." Thankfully, she didn't. 5. Sharon Stone. In 2001, actress Sharon Stone was struck with a pain in her head that was so severe, she felt as if she had been shot. The Basic Instinct actress was having a brain hemorrhage. She bled into her head and back for 9 days and had to get a surgery which replaced her arteries with platinum coins. She says that she felt like she died, saw a vortex of white light and saw her deceased friends. She had to spend the next 2 years relearning how to walk, write, read, and talk all over again. Thankfully, Sharon is doing better now and says that because of the experience, she no longer fears death. In fact, she says death is a glorious, beautiful thing, very safe. 6. Kelly Rowland. Singer Kelly Rowland is definitely a survivor. It's actually weird because in the Survivor music video, Destiny's Child is in a boat and Kelly in real life survived being in an unfortunate boating incident in 2013. She and her friends had rented a boat and planned to go whale watching, but the massive waves and fog prevented that from happening. They lost sight of the boat that they were following off the coast of Massachusetts. It took the U.S. Coast Guard 10 hours to locate and rescue them. Could you imagine being lost at the sea for that long? Kelly said that she prayed, "Lord, please don't let this boat capsize. Please let us get to shore in one safe, sound peace. I just want to see tomorrow." And that she did. 7. Rachel Bilson. You may remember Rachel Bilson as Summer from the teenage drama series The O.C. or as Dr. Hart in Heart of Dixie. The actress revealed that when she was 16 years old, she was hanging out with the wrong crowd, and this almost cost the future star her life. She says that one day while she was out with her friends and boyfriend, they were speeding and ended up colliding with a truck. She was actually in a coma for a few days, and she still suffers from migraines and memory loss as a result. The car crash ended her relationship with her boyfriend, which she thinks is a good thing, and also ended her white child days. It's a bit ironic that in the LC, Summer's best friend, Marissa, dies in a car crash because of her ex-boyfriend. 8. Eminem. While we were on the topic of 50 Cent, just makes sense to talk about the man who signed him and got him recognized internationally. Eminem has admitted that he had an addiction problem, much like his mother. During a relapse in the early 2000s, the rapper accidentally overdosed on methadone pills, which is commonly used by heroin addicts to wean themselves off their addiction. However, he claimed in the 2009 interview that he wasn't aware of what the pills actually were. He was just given them by someone he knew. He was also taking Vicodin and Valium. He ended up in the hospital and says that if he had gotten there any later, he would have died because his organs were shutting down. Fortunately, he cleaned up his act and is back making music, which he says is his new high. 9. 50 Cent. By now, we all know that 50 Cent was shot 9 times, as he's rapped about his song 9 Shots, because what else should the title be? When he became famous, people make jokes about it and seemed to forget that this was a real event that actually could have killed the then budding rapper. He was shot in his leg, arms and face while sitting in the parked car outside his grandmother's house back in 2000. He talked about the dark day with Oprah, saying he knows who did it and that the person has since died, but the person who paid him got life in prison. He said that 50 wears a bulletproof vest every day and insists that his son does too. He even owned a bulletproof SUV. Can't really blame the guy for being cautious. George Lucas. Yes, George Lucas almost didn't live to create the Star Wars and Indiana Jones franchises that have dominated the movie industry for decades. Oddly, George Lucas didn't even know that he was bound for greatness in the world of film, nor was he interested in it. When he was in high school, he wanted to become a race car driver, but one day while he was driving, another car was speeding and struck George's car, causing it to flip over, nearly killing him. He was presumed dead, but doctors revived his heartbeat at the hospital. The scary ordeal caused him to re-evaluate his life. Understandably, the accident turned him off from race car driving, and he instead developed an interest in photography and film. Luke Skywalker's journey in Star Wars is actually similar to that of George in the film ways, minus all the Jedis, lightsabers, and basically the whole outer space thing. That's probably why George decided to even use the name Luke, as that was what people called him. Basically, both George Lucas and Luke Skywalker were on the edge of death, but that's where they found something special that would change their lives. In Skywalker's case, it was the Force. 11. Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool almost died? What? Ryan Reynolds said that he was in a terrifying skydiving situation when he was 19 years old. During an interview, the funny actor explained what happened, saying, "I'm on my 13th jump, lucky number 13. My chute opened and what happened was they called it a bag of garbage, which is not a good sound. The risers broke and the thing opened kind of vertically, so it just sort of flapping in the wind and it really wasn't slowing me down at all. It was just making me spin out of control and almost making me unconscious. Also not fun at all. Thankfully, he had a backup parachute and when he came to his senses, he pulled it." 10. 12. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor literally saw the white line during the surgery she had in the 1960s, in which she was actually pronounced dead for 5 minutes. The late Hollywood icon claimed that she had an out-of-body experience, OBE, during which she floated through a tunnel, saw a white light, and saw a spirit of her ex-husband, Mike Todd. She had wanted to stay with him. He was her true love, which would explain why she couldn't seem to find anyone else that made her happy. But he told her that she needed to fight to go back because there was still something important for her to do. It sounds a bit crazy, as Elizabeth herself stated, but so many people have reported something similar happening to them, so it makes you wonder. She obviously pulled through and went on to live until 2011, but she died of heart failure. 13. Tracy Morgan. If you watch late-night comedy shows, you are more than likely familiar with Tracy Morgan. The comedian was a regular on Saturday Night Live from 1996 to 2003, and a cast member on 30 Rock from 2006 to 2013. But in 2014, his life turned upside down when he was involved in a fatal car accident in New Jersey. His friend and mentor, James McNair, was killed and he was left with serious injuries after a Walmart tractor trailer hit their limo, causing it to spin and flip over, hitting several other vehicles. JC suffered brain trauma and a broken leg and broken ribs as a result of the accident, and said in his first interview after the tragic event, "I can't believe I am here." The comedian was in a coma for 2 weeks and doesn't even remember the accident that changed his life, but he says he watched it along with his friend's funeral on YouTube. 14. Orlando Bloom. Back when the actor that we now think of as our favorite F was just 21 years old, he nearly lost his life and almost didn't even get the chance to act in The Lord of the Rings while climbing the drain pipe of a rooftop terrace with his friends. Because that's the kind of stuff that 21-year-olds do, the actor fell 3 stories. He broke a few vertebrae in his back and was even told that he would never walk again. Fortunately, the actor was only paralyzed for 4 days. Still pretty scary. Bloom had to undergo multiple surgeries and rehab sessions before he could continue acting. He said of the incident, "Fear is not a friend of mine, but it's something to have a healthy awareness of. But I can't stop living, it would ruin my creativity, the person I am." 15. Jason Statham. Jason Statham is the badass and there's no denying it, especially after what happened while he was filming The Expendables 3. He was test driving a 3-ton truck when the brakes failed, sending the truck straight off a cliff and into the Black Sea, where it went down 60 feet. Anyone else probably wouldn't have been so lucky. But this is Jason Statham that we're talking about here. Like a scene straight out of the movie, the actor managed to jump out the truck as it flew off the cliff. Luckily, the truck doors had been removed prior to his test drive. His co-star, Sylvester Stallone, said if anyone else had been in the truck, we would have been dead because we were all wearing heavy boots and gun belts. He would have drowned. But because Jason is an Olympic quality diver, he got outbid. And by Olympic quality, Stalin is referring to the fact that Stalin was part of Britain's national diving squad for a dozen years and competed for England at the 1990 Commonwealth Games.